Good morning. Good whatever time it is when you're watching this. Welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm Christel Crawford. So today's topic is how to not give a fuck what people think and create your life anyway. And I am going to be honest and put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode and tell you, hi Krista, that I am in a very interesting place today personally. And so this live will probably be this isn't going to be one of those fluffy, like, oh, don't worry about it, just receive the judgments sort of lives. This is going to be a little bit more like, okay, like, look, when you're in the trenches of life, you got to use a lot of goddamn tools to have the life that you want to have. Let's talk about that. Life as an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. Hello, you beautiful people. I'm really glad you're here with me today. Good morning, Claire. You guys ready for like a power energetic hit to the gut? That's where I'm at today. So how the fuck do you create your life and not give a fuck what anybody else thinks? Well, first of all, you have to use a lot of fucks when you're talking about it. All right, y'all, I am right in the middle of a massive shift in my personal life. There's major key players that are shifting out of my world. And I'm also always in the middle of a major internal shift. And so I picked this topic because I'm about to start an ongoing monthly membership thing, and I wanted to talk about what is it to constantly be in the creation of your life. What is that? Like, what do you do to support that? What kind of choices do you have available to you? What is that like? And in the middle of all of that, I'm in the active, ongoing creation of my life. Now, I make pretty big choices for myself in the sense of like, I'm demanding that I be, as much as is possible, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's way easier to be in my skin, being interesting point of view, I have this point of view, than it is not being interesting point of view, I have this point of view. It's very, very much easier to be that than to not be that. So that's one of my commitments to myself. Another one of my commitments to myself is to look at every single place where I am like projecting and expecting that somebody's going to be something that I know they're not going to be. And then therefore choosing to separate, judge, and reject me, and then you, and whoever it is that I'm projecting. So I have another demand in my world to change that. My third on my list of 22,000 demands of myself is to be aware of everywhere I'm going into decisions and judgments and computations and conclusions, because that shit doesn't actually create. Now, having said all of that, then there's the everyday walking that shit out. And this is where you have to be willing to invite yourself to another tool, which is having a new choice in every 10 seconds. Having a new choice in every 10 seconds. That is very, very key. Because if you don't allow yourself to have that choice, then you're going to judge yourself for all the choices that you make in the mix as you're walking out all these things that you're choosing to create. So the big question with all of this, with your life, is like, what do you desire to create? What do you desire to create as your life? What do you desire to create with other people? What do you desire to create? This question, what do I desire to create here, is one of probably my key tools these days in every single situation, because it has nothing to do with like the end result of I desire to create $1 million business. I desire to create a fun relationship, sort of. It actually has to do with like in this moment, what do I desire to create with this person? What do I desire to create in this moment with this choice? What do I desire to create in this moment with my business? What do I desire to create to have money in my life? What do I desire to create? And what choices do I have available to me that are going to create that? And what can I do to stimulate the competitive edge of my reality? Hi, Claudia. Hey, guys. You didn't catch the beginning of this. I'm in a little bit of a, there's some intensity going on today. So this creation of your life doesn't actually have anything to do with anybody else. Nobody else. None of what they think about you, none of what they might judge about you, none of what they project that you should be or shouldn't be. It has nothing to do with anybody. And when you make the creation of your life about other people, about what they may or may not say, about what they may or may not do, you take yourself completely out of the creative seat of your life. And that goes for one-on-one conversations, that goes for like putting yourself out on Facebook, that goes for like choosing to create a fucking business, like that goes for all of it. All the things, that applies to all the things. When you make it about what other people may or may not do, you have completely taken yourself out of what's possible for you, what choices you actually have available to you. So let me give you a really personal, very recent example, like as of today. So I have an intense dynamic going on with somebody that we're going to call was close to me. And we are in the process of breaking up. Well, it's weird. 1, I really like this person. No, 2, they're really capable. 3, they're really great. All these things are true about this person. And whatever it is that we're being together is like not working. So in the creation of my life, right? So I could go several places with this particular situation. I could go into, well, what's going to make this person happy? What's going to make them have a good opinion about me? Right now, they don't have a particularly good opinion of me. I could go and I could ask those questions and create around those questions. I could ask, what would be the right thing to choose here? What would be the wrong thing to choose? I could ask, what would make me the nice person here? Now, really, the questions that I'm whipping out right now are like not really technically questions that you usually choose to be super conscious about, right? Those questions that I just mentioned are usually kind of the unconscious ones flavoring how you respond to things, right? I could ask all of those, and I find them flitting through like, oh, I just chose that. Oh, that means I wasn't being nice, or I wasn't being kind. Oh, I find myself like going back in and reanalyzing the choices I made. But the question that I keep bringing myself back to, and this is like, in the creation of my life, this is kind of the central question is this creating what I desire to create right now? And to be fair, no is the answer. What I'm being with this person right now is not creating what I desire to create. Now, here's what I'm discovering as I'm asking myself that question and getting that awareness. What I desire to create requires a level of vulnerability with me and with this other person that I have not been willing to choose. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what's going to happen when I choose vulnerability. Now, what do I mean by that? Vulnerability is not necessarily like breaking down into tears, though sometimes we misidentify and misapply what that means. Vulnerability in this case is literally like lowering all my barriers, pulling energy, and just being hi. Hi. With no fight, no resistance, no reaction, just being hi. Now, I want to tell you, be honest here, I have not been choosing that here. I've been choosing a lot of resistance and reaction and fight and other things. But here's what I'm really, really excited about, because that doesn't matter. That's okay. Why is that okay? Because they're just choices. All of these things, resistance, reaction, fighting, not fighting, allowance, vulnerability, are all choices I have available to me. They're not right, they're not wrong, they just create. So I've been choosing resistance and reaction with this person. Okay, cool. Do I want to keep choosing that? In this 10 seconds, yes. And so what I get to look at is, okay, so what is the contribution? What's the contribution that resisting and reacting to this person is to my life, my living, and my reality? No words to that, just an energy. And so everything that doesn't allow me to receive the contribution that resisting and reacting is to my life, my living, and my reality, I'm going to go ahead and destroy and uncreate that. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, if you don't know what I just said right there, that was the clearing statement. Check out theclearingstatement.com and you will get so much more information, because that one wee little tool just starts to eliminate limitations. And when you're not willing to receive, so let's say, hold on, don't go anywhere. In the creation of your life, let's say you have a moment where you resist and react to somebody. I bet you guys never do that, right? Let's say in that 10 seconds, you chose resistance and reaction. You didn't choose interesting point of view. You chose fuck you, bitch, go die. All right? Okay. You look at it after, you're like, okay, so what did that choice create? You get a sense of it. You're like, Here's the gift of awareness and allowance. If you can look at that and be, okay, interesting point of view, I have that point of view, and just be space with you, that's when you have a different possibility show up. That's when you have more choices show up. And this is the how you create your life from awareness, from consciousness, which includes everything and judges nothing. Consciousness does not judge you when you choose resistance or reaction. Consciousness does not judge you when you choose to fight. Consciousness does not judge you when you choose to be a doormat. Consciousness doesn't judge you when you choose to have no money. Consciousness doesn't judge you when you choose to be an asshole. Consciousness doesn't judge you when you choose to be pathetic. Consciousness doesn't have a point of view. Consciousness just is. Everything has consciousness. I have consciousness. My shirt has consciousness. My contacts have consciousness. My body has consciousness. It's just consciousness. It just isness, right? So guess who does judge us when we choose something that we think we shouldn't? We do. And that, my friends, is a projection and an expectation that you should be a certain way instead of just looking, hey, is this really what I want to create here? That question has saved my ass lately. Is this actually what I want to create here? Now, here's the thing. If you do start asking that question, you're going to be face to face with maybe some choices that you haven't been willing to make yet. Like this whole getting vulnerable thing. I have not been willing to get vulnerable with this person. Now, I don't think I've even been willing to get vulnerable with myself around this topic. And here's the trick. When you're in the creation of your life, getting vulnerable with yourself, choosing something with yourself first is going to be the way that you're able to choose it with other people. So me getting vulnerable with myself about this person actually makes me want to cry. So there's things here that I haven't been willing to look at. Okay, cool. Guess what? I have a new choice in every 10 seconds. And so in this next 10 seconds, I can literally push all my energetic barriers down and receive everything that I haven't been willing to receive about me, about this person, about the situation, and just be with all of it. That right there is the power and the strength and the potency of allowance and the choices that you have available to you that a lot of people don't. So we're back to always this person or not this person. This is my life here. I'm in it. How do I want my life to be like? Are the choices I'm making contributing to my level of joy? Right in this 10 seconds? Not so much. Well, I'm here talking to you, so that's pretty good. I love that. I'm really glad you guys are here, actually. Honestly, doing these Facebook Lives every week saves my ass. Because it keeps me choosing. Keeps me moving forward. It keeps me knowing that you guys are out there. You're getting something out of what I'm saying and being. You're getting something out of my journey, my sharing. Like, this contributes so much. So that's another really great question of what can I add to my life to change this right away? But all of this stuff, you guys, all the relationships in your life, all your friends, all your businesses, all your stuff, this is your life. This is it. You're in it. You're in the creative seat of it, or you've taken yourself out of the creative seat of it, but this is it. This is what it is. How do you want it to be? What do you want it to be like? And what choices can you make to create it being like that? So let me go back to my example from this morning that's still really, really fucking fresh. The choices that I made this morning with this other person, who shall not be named, did not contribute to my level of joy. So what choices could I have made that would have contributed to that? And you can just start to get a sense of that. Now, here's the thing. Those choices that you could have made to contribute to that might mean you've got to be willing to be wrong. You've got to be willing to have somebody have control over you. You've got to be willing to be something that you have decided you're not willing to be because you'd like to be right, because you never want to be wrong, because you want to make sure that you win and not lose. And that's where we start functioning from competition, because we've decided all these things that we would have to be to create that joy in our life are things we're not willing to be, and so we would rather fight and struggle instead. Wow, cool. Here's the gift of consciousness. All right, even that's an interesting point of view. All right, cool. Well, I'm choosing to fight and struggle. Well, that's an interesting choice. I can keep choosing that. Here's the thing. I can keep choosing that. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just fight and struggle. All right. Is it creating what I desire? No. I could even continue to keep choosing to create what I don't desire. Now, why would I do that? Because I'm insane sometimes. Y'all, we're insane. We choose things that don't make sense all the time. When I'm in a class, my favorite thing about Gary Douglas is that, one, he's willing to be anything. He'll be wrong, he'll be an asshole. He'll be kind, he'll be a dick, he'll be whatever is required to create what he desires, right? So if he desires peace or ease, and he knows, for example, that, I'm making up this example, but like let's say Gary knew that creating ease would mean $750,000. He would choose it. Why? He has no point of view about what it takes to create what it is that he desires to create. No point of view. Hi, Arvind. What would that be like? What would it be like to invite yourself to that? And all of these things that you're looking at are not things that normal people choose, you guys. This is not a normal create your life conversation. And one of the things that I've had to start acknowledging about me and access consciousness and these tools and this conversation of creating a reality beyond this reality is that it isn't normal, and I'm not normal, and I actually don't want to be normal. It's not normal to demand of yourself to choose interesting point of view in the middle of a conflict. The normal thing to do is to choose to fight. So here's my question for you today is, what irrational choices could you begin to make in the creation of your life that would completely change your reality? What irrational choices could you begin to make in the creation of your life that would completely change your reality? Thank you, Saskia. And it's fucking irrational to demand ease and just to be willing to be wrong to have ease. Now, what do I mean by being willing to be wrong? I mean, fuck that shit. We all want to be right? Why would you want to be wrong when you could be right? I can hear your heads. Because if being wrong, I'm not actually wrong and I'm not actually right. All of those are just interesting points of view. There's no such thing as right or wrong. So if I'm resisting being wrong because I've decided that this makes me right and this makes me wrong, then I have to resist and I have to fight, and that doesn't create the ease that I want, and this is my goddamn life and I want to have what I want to have, god damn it, motherfuckers. This is my self-talk. Right? So what would I have to be willing to be to have what I want to have? What do I have to be? Do I have to be willing to? So if it is being willing to be wrong, if you're dealing with somebody else who really needs to be right, really needs their point of view, then if you really need your point of view too, then you guys are going to do this, right? You're just going to fight. It's just going to be a fight. If on the other hand, you have somebody that really needs to be right, and you can just be willing to be wrong and create that space, all of a sudden, there's no problem. There's no nothing. Guess what you have? Ease, joy, glory. Here's another example. If you've decided that the possibility of people judging you when you show up in your life, right? Let's say you show up on Facebook or you do Facebook Lives or whatever, and the possibility of people judging you is a thing that you're just not willing to face. It's not even actually real yet. It's just something you've made so big, right? It's this thing where it's I can't even go there. So all of a sudden now you don't have choice in your life because this thing is so much bigger than what it is you desire to create in your life. So what would you have to be willing to be? What would you have to be willing to be to outcreate that? What would you have to be willing to show up as? What would you have to be willing to choose? What would you have to be willing to have your reality where this thing that you've made so big is just itty bitty little thing, blah, 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 blah. Hi, Marianella. Nobody can hear. That's fine. What would you have to be willing to be to have the life that you're asking for? Do you have to be willing to be wrong? Do you have to be willing to be evil? Do you have to be willing to be judgeable? Do you have to be willing to be an asshole? Do you have to be willing to be true kindness, which is actually only delivering what other people can receive? What would you have to be willing to be? And what are you unwilling to be that if you were willing to be this would create the life you're asking for with total ease? And here's how you can use that. Everything that doesn't allow that to show up, times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all land, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, in this creation of the life you desire, your own desires are going to be the invitation to being things that you didn't think you could be. Your own desires are going to be that for you. If you desire to create more money so that you can travel, your own desire is now inviting you to be and go and choose beyond what it is that you're currently choosing to be and go beyond. Isn't that kind of funny? It's kind of like we pull all this energy into our worlds and we're like, yeah, I want to have classes and go to this thing and I want to have this business and da-da-da, and we like do all this stuff, right? We're like, yeah, I want to have this life. And then the universe goes, okay, you asked what it would take. You know, we do that thing where we're like, what would it take to have this show up with these, right? What would it take? And the universe is like, okay, you asked what it would take. And all of a sudden, you have this situation in your life where this person that you thought was your friend turns out to be something else, and they start choosing stuff, and now you're invited to being interesting point of view in a way that you've never been invited to be before. And guess what is happening there? You are getting exactly what you asked for in a totally different way. Because you actually couldn't have this thing that you're asking for without being more interesting point of view. And so if you choose over here to be ridiculous and not choose what you're at, like, this is where you've got to let your desires and what shows up in your life invite you to being more if you actually want to have what it is you're asking for. And for me, this whole topic and this whole thing is me being on the competitive edge of my reality. Me demanding of myself that I be more interesting point of view, that I get out of projections and expectations, that I, as many times as I can remember to fucking do it, get out of decisions, judgments, computations, and conclusions. That's me choosing to live on the competitive edge of my reality. Because guess what? It's a lot fucking easier to react and resist. Or is it? And is that the lie? Listen, y'all, we all have some really, really strong muscles, judging muscles. We were taught. That's what we were taught. We were taught how to judge. That's how we were taught to be in this world. You judge whether something is right or wrong. You judge whether it's good or bad. You judge whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice, or the best choice or the not so good choice, or it, oh my God, you got to hear what this thing that I did with my girlfriend. Do you think I did the wrong thing? That's the conversation we go and we have with our friends. Do you think I did the wrong thing? Do you think I should change? Like, I think I fucked this up, right? We go into doubt, we go into worry, we go into all the distractor. Like, that's the muscles that we are taught to build. So my challenge to myself constantly is like, what's the new muscles that I am building come hell or high water, right? Like, I'm having this new muscle. I'm having this new muscle of interesting point of view. I'm having this new muscle of getting out of projections and expectations, even though I know how to do those really, really well. I do them so good that I don't even know I'm doing them. That's how good I am at them. And okay, cool. So what would it take to start seeing where I'm choosing this? And what would it take to start asking myself a question of, is doing this creating what I desire? Is doing this creating what I desire? And this is honestly, guys, this thing that I'm talking about, this whole fucking however many minutes I've been doing this now, 24 minutes, is how I've been creating my relationship with John. John and I were fucking doomed if I didn't start choosing something else. And I've really taken what I've chosen with him and extrapolated it out to the rest of my life as much as I'm able, right? Because if he and I got into that relation, like, I had projections and expectations of him like crazy in the beginning, which caused us to, therefore I broke up with him. We got back together and we started having difficulty again. Well, guess who was having the difficulty? Why? Because I had projections and expectations of him that he wasn't fulfilling, and so I had to separate, judge, and reject him. And me, it turns out. So I started asking, is doing this creating what I desire? It was always no at that point. What would I have to be and do different to create what I desire? Man, I had to be willing to be vulnerable. I had to be willing to be actually everything that I've talked about. Vulnerable, wrong, be willing to be more generous than I'd been willing to be. I had to be willing to be rich. I had to be willing to be the sugar mama. I had to be willing to be broke, which doesn't even make sense. Like, I had to be willing to be all these energies that I had been refusing, that inviting him into my life had been inviting me to choose. And here's the thing, I don't know what I asked that invited him into my life, but I asked something and he showed up in my life. And guess what he invited me to? Being willing to be all these things that I hadn't been willing to be before. Now, listen, y'all. In the creation of life, in the creation of business, in the creation of money, being is the point. Being is the point. It's the whole point. It's the only thing. Being, choosing, receiving. You can't receive what you can't be. You can't receive money if you can't be money. You can't receive vulnerability if you can't be vulnerability. You can't receive business if you can't be the energies required to create your business. Being is the point. So somewhere in our brains, we're like, no, being right's the point. I want to be right. So we have to validate our points of view, even if they're unconscious. And if we get into a conversation where that person's wrong and we're right, we got to prove our point of view. And if we do something that we've decided is wrong, we have to judge ourselves over it because that's the right thing to do. Now, none of this is like conscious. We're not like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. We're not doing the right dance, you know. We're just doing it because we're doing it. It's all that unconscious doing that we do, right? But bringing consciousness and awareness and space and light and awareness to everything goes, the question is this creating what I desire to create? That's it. And so if it's not, it doesn't matter what it is being this way with money, creating what I desire to create with money? Is being this way with business, creating what I desire with business? Then what is the most irrational thing you can choose? What could you do or be that's different, that would create something different? What would you have to be willing to be that you're not currently willing to be, that if you were willing to be it, would change everything? And what have you been asking for that is this thing showing up in a totally different fucking way? And if you were willing to change what it is this thing is inviting you to, would your life be different? Would you have more access to you? Would you have more power and capacities? That might be it. So if you like this and you would share it, I would be really grateful. And I would just invite you to look at that question. Is this creating what I desire to create? This thing, this choice I'm making in this 10 seconds, is this creating what I desire to create? If it's a no, you have infinite choices available to you if you're willing to be something different. Now, I know this was chock full of stuff. I don't think I make these shows very basic. That's it. So I want to invite you to check out the springmembership.com because it is going to be my first membership where it is going to be this ongoing creation of your life. We are always going to be looking at what's next. What are we looking at? What can we change? What can we add? That is the gist. And that's it. That's all. I'm glad this contributed, you guys. If you liked it, would you share it for me? And so that I won't repeat myself, I'm going to go. I'll see you next week.